Hello everybody, thanks again for tuning into my YouTube channel, and once again I have to say thank you very much to everybody for subscribing and liking and sharing and all of that good stuff. Before I get into today's video, I have to try and explain really what I'm trying to do with this channel. It's kind of a bit of a difficulty for me because I don't really know whether it should be all Fujifilm related or wedding related or street photography or just general photography. So at the moment it's a little bit of everything, to be totally honest with you, and please, honestly, please leave some comments below and to give me some guidance, because I really want this channel to be something that that I enjoy building, of course, B, it's going to help feed the kids, hopefully, and C, that it's something that you guys enjoy too. So please do get involved. Let me know the direction that you think you would like it to go. In my mind at the moment, I'm thinking of doing perhaps one video a week, maybe with some kind of theme. You know, maybe the first week of the month might be something to do with weddings, the second week might be something to do with street photography, the third week might be more gear, tech orientated, and the fourth might be more kind of philosophical. That's probably not the right word, but something to do more with the kind of love of photography, I guess, the emotional side of it perhaps. So anyway, just let me know what you think. So today I'm going to talk to you about, believe it or not, the very first time that I have used any of the Fujifilm Zoom lenses in any particular angle. And on Sunday just gone, I headed over to Bristol to photograph the Bristol 10K road race that they have there every year. It's organised by the Great Run, and it's explained a little bit more in the video, but I decided that I would obviously use the X-T2 with the new firmware update, firmware 4, which is meant to have this kind of remarkable new autofocus system into it. And I thought, well, you know, I'm going to be doing these kind of road runners, and I'm going to need to use something that's going to be A, very quick, and B, going to give me versatility in terms of the zoom, but also something that I think is going to give me a little bit more distance than the prime lenses that I'm typically using for my wedding and street photography. So to that end, I headed over to Bristol with the 16-55, which is this lens here. It's not too big actually. You know, like I said, I've never really used these before, so this wasn't too much of an issue for me in terms of carrying it. I shot a lot of images with it, as you'll see throughout the rest of this little video. I was very pleased, in fact, with the performance of it, and probably that's partly to do with this new firmware update and the autofocusing, which is specifically aimed, I think, at shooting things like sport and wildlife. The other lens I took with me was this big bad boy, which is the 50-140. This has optical image stabilization, and it's a big old heavy lens. Definitely not something I'm used to using when I'm shooting, but you know, it performed very well, I guess. I didn't actually use it as much as the 16-55. I couldn't, kind of in my mind I was like, no, I need to go smaller, I kept having to tell myself, you can use a longer lens, it's all right, that's it, it's there for that reason. So I did use it, and some of the images from it were very good. Now I have to explain to you the reason why I'm taking these images and why I was shooting that was because I was approached by the Great Run company to photograph more of a, not so much the elite runners, but more of the fun runners, more of the people who are trying to break their own personal barriers and break their own goals. And I was kind of looking for sweat and looking for kind of people dressed up and people having fun and more of kind of the context of the day, I suppose, rather than necessarily just a headshot, a beautiful headshot perhaps, or sports that a sports photographer might normally get of, you know, the leading pack and all of that other stuff. So my remit wasn't really to take sports photography as such, but to kind of tell the story of the people on the day, I suppose. And I really enjoyed it, and you're going to see some of the images as I'm talking now. You'll see some of my favorite images that I took on the day. Now remember that I'm not a sports photographer. I've shot some rugby in the past, and I greatly enjoy it. And the last time I did anything to do with kind of action, if you like, was when I was shooting with my old Canon system, which was great for it. I used to use a 400mm f4 lens, and it was brilliant. You know, it was amazing the stuff you could do with it. But of course, I've not really been shooting anything like that recently. So to a certain extent, this is something very much out of my comfort zone, and I thought it might make a useful little video. So in terms of talking about shooting things outside of the comfort zone, then this is about as much as it gets for me, really. These big zoom lenses, different kind of personalities, different people, definitely a different way that I had to approach the day in terms of where I positioned myself, how I shot. You know, it's very much a case of not hiding in shooting this kind of stuff. You'll see a lot of the images where people are looking straight at me because they can see, because I have my media vest on, that they know they're having their photo taken, and I guess that's part of the fun of it. So it's very much different to the way that I shoot weddings, and very different to the way that I would normally shoot street photography, where you try and do it in a much more discreet, candid manner. Now, one thing I did notice when I was shooting with this big lens, the 50 to 140, was that when the camera is on and the lens is on and the optical image stabilization is on, actually even when this optical image stabilization is off, that's such a difficult thing to keep saying, it makes a noise. This lens makes one hell of a kind of cranking noise. I mean, it's not too, you know, when you're shooting stills and you're shooting sports and stuff, you don't hear it. I didn't hear it at all during the day. But when I was in the car and I was loading the lens up, then I could hear it. And I actually, like I said, I've never used this before, so I actually went to Google and was like, is this normal? And it is normal. It's the bearings inside doing their thing to kind of calibrate it and make sure that the stabilization is working. So at first I was a little bit like, oh my word, is this lens broke? But actually it's perfectly normal, and it did a really, really good job. I think I put this on for some of the more close-up shots, and you know, I did definitely, one of the things struggle with is the size and the weight. So I had the XT2 with the grip, so I had my 3 batteries in there. It was in boost mode, it was in high speed burst, and I think, I mean, you're going to see a little slideshow at the end which has something like 350 odd pictures in it, so that's very quick. But you know, I actually took probably maybe 2,500, 3,000 pictures on the day itself. And the tracking, the focus tracking for both this lens and the 16 to 55 really actually did surprise me. I was kind of like, whoa, I don't know, this is just something I've never really done before, and so I didn't really know what to expect. But it didn't kind of miss a beat. I really don't think it missed many beats at all. You know, as the people were coming closer to me, I was shooting maybe 10, 15 frames of them. And almost as long as I'm keeping still and I'm tracking them accordingly and doing my part, the camera was doing its thing really well, and I shot almost everything wide open at f2.8 on both lenses, and the reason for that is because I'm a sucker for kind of depth of field and trying to get a little bit of impact into the images. Rightly or wrongly, it doesn't really matter, but that's what I was trying to achieve. So some of my favorite images are of the people, you can see them now on the screen, some of the older people and some of the people who are really, really struggling. They're really kind of you know, they're putting their all into it. It was a hot day. There's no way I could have run that 10K. So all of these people, every single one of the 12,500 people that ran it did amazingly well. But especially I was really drawn to those people that were clearly doing it for their own personal goals, whether they were raising money for charity or whether they were, you know, raising awareness of a particular disease or anything like that. They were all doing it for one reason, and that was to make sure they got around, make sure they did it as quick as possible. But fundamentally, other than that first pack of elite runners, they were doing it to enjoy it, and it was really quite evident that that was the case. And so some of these images, some of them I'm like, I really like. All the images I'm delivering, of course, are going to be in color because that was part of my brief. But some of these images I think look really good in black and white, and I love especially these images of the older people who, you know, I'm being very cautious of what I say because they ran it, and even though they're kind of older than me, they're running the 10K. I'm not. I'm stood there with a lens around my neck taking pictures of them. So they are way ahead of me in terms of that effort level. But also probably these people in the past have maybe been elite runners themselves, and they're just carrying on, they're just loving it, they're enjoying it. And that really drew me to those people. I was really kind of drawn to the people who were clearly in it for that real personal goal of completion. And you know, I really enjoyed it. I actually have to admit I really enjoyed shooting that. As you'll see in the little vlog, I did a vlog, okay? So this is the very first time that I've ever done any kind of vlogging, and it's I have to say, it's really not very good. As you'll see it very shortly, but I think that, you know, several people have said, oh, I'll take a vlog with you to do some stuff behind the scenes at weddings and, you know, street photography and everything. So you got to start somewhere, right? I showed it to my wife and she was like, don't show that, it's rubbish. But then I thought, well, you know what, it's rubbish. It might be rubbish, but you know, you've got to start somewhere. So there's a little bit of vlogging element going on there. I look a little bit battered and bruised because I played rugby the day before, but that was a very different thing. And yeah, so let's get in. I've showed you some of the stills during this blabber. We'll see a little bit of the vlog, and then you'll see the slideshow at the end. And that's about it for today. So thank you once again for joining me, and I really appreciate it when you leave comments and you share and you like and all of that good stuff, especially with all this GDPR that's going on right now, and you know, mailing lists are being decimated and all that kind of stuff. So the more people that do subscribe and like and share, the more ice creams I can buy my kids. That's basically it. Okay, take care, see you next time. So it's a beautiful morning this morning. It's Sunday morning, and I'm here in Bristol because I am photographing the Bristol 10K road run this morning. Got a call from the great run company who organise all of these things, and they asked if I could come along and just do some kind of candid shots, and not the particular sports photography as such, but just the shots of the runners as they go by, and you know, the environment and the atmosphere and everything else that goes along with it. So I'm really looking forward to it. Right behind me, you can just about see it, is the Clifton Suspension Bridge. It's beautiful down here. It's a really beautiful morning. I've got a few aches and pains because I played rugby yesterday. I play like once a year, and muscles get used that don't get used very often throughout the year. So it's going to be fun. I've never really done anything like this before, so I thought I'd bring my little gimbal removu tripod-y type handheld vlogging type thing, and see how we get on with that. Might not come out, you may never even see this video clip, but maybe you will, who knows. I've got my XT2 with the new firmware on it, the firmware 4, so I'm quite excited to see how this new autofocus and the focus speed updates they put in there work. I've got the 50 to 140 lens and a 1655. I never use those lenses really. I do have them, I do own them, I bought them, and you know, they've kind of sat on the bench in my office for a long time, and now they're going to get their first running out, and we'll see how we do with those. So it's quite heavy already, the camera. I'm not used to using these big old lenses, so we'll see how we get on, and yeah, I'll catch up with you a little bit later.
About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go. Let's be free with me. Be free. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out.
So here they are, all behind me. There's amazing amount of people here, and it's amazing what the human body can do. Some people are really huffing and puffing. I'm about the 6K mark, I think, something like that. Camera's doing well, shooting mostly with a 16 to 55, I think, actually, and trying to get some wide shots, people enjoying themselves, and a couple of people dressed up, etc. Oh, look at my hair, what a mess. Yeah, so it's all going well so far. Beautiful weather, beautiful day. Bit chilly in the shade, but the guys are running and they're absolutely loving it. Good on them.
Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche, we're on the run, this is what we